There's nothing, there's no dream that is not achievable, no matter how high the goal. Always do your best, always perform at your best, and always aim high.
We live in a world in which injustices continue to be present, and they need to be recognized, called out, identified, and addressed. And I think the evidence in the world is sort of self-evident. We saw during the pandemic what happened in countries that had women leaders. I am incredibly confident that we would not see the events unfolding in Ukraine at this moment if we had women leaders.
Let me try to connect to Ukraine. This is the country where everyone is having their eyes on, and of course our prayers. What is happening in Ukraine doesn't allow us to celebrate. This is a time for serious concern, and we're all concerned. And this is a time for action, more than ever before, perhaps. Ina, can I invite you to give a message?
We had so many obstacles and challenges, starting with the Orange Revolution and the Revolution of Dignity, and then Crimea and Donbass and everything. And maybe the lesson was not learned well enough for us and for the rest of the world, that we have those values that we stand for. And no matter what, we have to be united as a society. And whenever we have the truth behind us, we have to stand for it till the very end.
We shouldn't be just so selective. If the war is happening in our neighborhood, then all of a sudden it's humanitarian crisis. It's about human beings. It's about humanity.
In such an uncertain world, we are looking to see how women act as catalysts for resilience, diversity, and change, and to see where the major challenges and opportunities for women lie.
There is a strong foundation. Women and girls are making it happen despite everything, challenging the status quo, fighting on, and demonstrating that there is no peace, prosperity, progress, nothing without women's full equality.
I think the world is changing with or without us. And the mindset of the world is changing. And this is where I go back to saying women cannot be the victims of change. They have to be the agent of change. If we wait until the world has changed and then we try to catch up because we're still stuck on some basic issues, I think we'll be too late.
We must bear in mind that really only when there is investment in women as workers, as leaders, as entrepreneurs and consumers, then we can say the whole world benefits.
We need to be creating jobs for everyone. We need women at the head of this. We need the compassion that you brought in your project, the empathy that you brought at the beginning of your career. We need diversity of thought if we're going to have change.
It's about, right from the beginning, supporting women to feel strong in themselves, believe in themselves, and demand what they deserve.
We still haven't found a lot of the answers, and in my view that is because we've been asking the wrong questions, and that's partly because the wrong people have been in the position to pose those questions or to pose the answers to the questions that they think are a priority.
My early childhood was defined growing up in a culture that was not mine, and then I moved back and I grew up in my own culture, but because of my early childhood, I didn't really feel at home, or I felt different. And it taught me resilience, and it taught me that no matter where you are, you kind of have to find a way to live your life.
The media is very important in terms of telling the story. I say in terms of activism, there's the three letters A, B, and C. A is for the activists who raises the awareness, and B is the broadcaster in order to be able to get the social change and communicate that to the change makers, which are politicians. So ultimately, when women are allowed to tell their stories, and they're allowed to tell those stories without any fear or any prejudice, it means that real change can happen.
I think the importance of having role models was stressed. And role models are not just role models in society. Croatia does need more female leaders, women in senior roles.
We need to intensify our efforts and take action so that no one is left behind. We need to think and rethink the future and impose a new design, a gender-balanced paradigm that prioritizes and localizes the needs of women and marginalized groups.
Now you can see the sea change. And you see women, young women, innovative women, women with a great deal of perseverance in various fields, and they are there in the public domain when they were not there a few decades ago.
It's really important that when we're looking at gender issues, we approach it from an intersectional lens, and that we're aware of all of the injustices that are happening around the world and how actually the sort of gender movement can exist to uplift and empower women from a real diversity of backgrounds.
I think globally in Lebanon, certainly all the stereotypes associated with being a woman, we are kinder, calmer, more peaceful. And then there's stereotypes associated with being a man. And those are often allocated to us as things that are natural to us, not things that have been shaped by patriarchy and misogyny. And at the same time, those things are the very root causes of the gender discrimination we see.
This is not a competition. So you need to just start by taking pride in the women around you, in their achievements. Their achievements are actually your achievements. That's how we grow. When we help each other grow, we all grow together.
We can speak out, including on social media. We can offer honest support and mentorship to other women. And that means speaking to them honestly, not just cheerleading, but really providing constructive ideas for growth.
One thing that I guess could be improved, whether in journalism or other sectors, is actually providing some sort of safe space where your employees, or particularly women, can actually feel comfortable saying, this is what has happened. Because as we know, the bias is taking place.
Be aware of the danger of complacency, because while things have increased, there is particularly more room for improvement. And don't be complacent. The fact that there are now women editors of several national newspapers, there's still a dearth of women executives.
Now, it's been 2 years since COVID-19 started, and women in corporate positions, but also entrepreneurs, journalists, politicians, civil society leaders, everyone is burnt out. And that's the truth. Despite this, women leaders are stepping up to support employee well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, while they nurture resilience in themselves and others.
If you are behaving more feminine, then people think you're too soft. You're not a leader. But when you are behaving more like men, then people don't like you because you are behaving outside of the gender stereotypes.
I believe as sort of women in leadership positions, we have a responsibility to women coming through, sort of journeying on their, or beginning their journey, whether it's their career path or whatever, to help amplify voices.
Tonight, we honor not only those women, but those amongst us now, and hear from them and their guidance to nourish us in our progress forward, individually and collectively. For there is no success without women being by our side if we are to achieve our true goal in life.
There is a new generation, a new language of leadership by women leaders, which is based on teamwork, which is based on kindness, empathy. And these are the values that we need to bring up to the table.
Inclusion is the right thing to do. We have a major problem, partly because people don't have a voice at the table, whether it's from
a civil society perspective, whether it's from a gender perspective, whether it's from a minority representation perspective, that is a fundamental challenge.
You're not giving me a choice. You're just telling me this is a doll and you should play with that. That was from my childhood. Football came quite natural in May because street football in those countries is quite popular. In Afghanistan, football is a fast game. So I started playing with my brothers just for the fun of the game. But when I grew up and my body was more feminine, there was a pressure from the society that told me I belong to the kitchen, but not to the street. And I should not play football and I should stay home and prepare myself to be picked up by a family to get married. And I said, no, I have a choice. I will fight for that and I will continue.
Thank you for your hospitality and for everything that you do to support women. And it's a privilege to be here today as Athena40, as Global Thinkers Forum, to be a member of the Conduit Club, which is the only club in that social impact space, which is so much needed. Having said that, I will encourage you to visit the exhibition on your left, where you will see some 20 portraits of incredible women trailblazers. They have been the work of Sebastian Better, and the whole idea is to connect our different, our diverse and rich narratives and create an overall narrative of understanding, tolerance, diversity.